people forget how much people like Joe Biden. Remember the shit driving the Corvettes, Uncle Joe. People like Joe Biden. People like Joe Biden a lot. He just got old. Right. And people was like, is he gonna like die before November, November, whatever, which is, it's hyperbole, but it's like people like Joe Biden. They just didn't like, that he was walking slow and talking slow. You know what I'm saying? People like Joe Biden. So
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. I'm Tavares Ferguson, aka Ferg, joined my co-host Buff and Razi's. Fellas, what it do?
Hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of our episode with Mr./Dr. / that smart mother effer, Brandon Davis. And we hope you enjoy part 2 as well. The only thing I got, man, before we get into the show is, did he do it? Well, according to New York District Attorney,
right,
he did it. He did it. And I think they are kind of going about this the right way. You can't you got to try to taint the jury pool as much as you can. And don't think for a second, because people are like, why they bring up baby oil? There's nothing, like, it's weird, but there's nothing illegal with owning that much baby oil. But that gets you talking. That gets you saying, yeah, he did that. He did that. They are playing the media gossip game as well as the legal game, in my opinion. And that's why you hear them bringing up how many dildos he had and how many bottles of baby oil he had.
I'm just, you know what? I don't know if 1,000 bottles of baby oil isn't illegal. I don't know if, I can't say that it's not,
bro. You can go in Costco, Sam's Club, and BJ's, clear their shelves, and still probably not come away with 1,000 bottles.
That is a lot. He got that from the manufacturer. Bro. Like that's a wholesale.
Auto ship.
Yeah, man. So,
Mr. Diddy, your order's ready.
I'm sure, and you guys may have more to add to, but I'm sure we're going to talk about him more as the weeks and months pass. But just that, man. And
are you ready for the potential backlash? That's whatever. I think everybody did it at this point. I mean, outside the dildos and baby oil, or nothing surprising anymore. I think most people are waiting on the shoe to drop to see who else is attached to this, because the whole RICO case, that's the whole, and who's all tied.
The DA was even asked. They kind of compared it to Jeffrey Epstein, where this rich, powerful person who has ties to all these other rich, powerful people on both sides of the political aisle, both sides of entertainment aisles, or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, he could have implicated so many people that he wound up killing himself. I know some people don't believe he did, and they fear that for Diddy. And one of the reporters even asked that. So, but as of now, I believe he's been denied bail twice, and I actually think that's a good call, especially if he's been tampering with witnesses. And I know he surrendered his passport, but he still is a flight risk, even with the passports gone, man. Like, so.
Yeah, private jets kind of super.
Yeah.
Razi, I have a request. Can you make a Diddy bingo card?
I've seen one already. Yeah.
I think that's what we need to make, is just a Diddy bingo card and figure out who's all.
Whoever made it, they got it in for Tyler Perry, because they got him on there twice as Madea and as Tyler Perry. I ain't gonna have that man on there twice, man.
Yeah, see the free space.
So listen, lots of Diddy coming. Only other thing I got, man, is going back to politics, because a lot of this episode, part 1, was about politics. And I just want to remind people that this is one of those both side things, because I'm hearing a lot of people say that the assassination attempt on Trump was fake, and it was fake. And a lot of people strongly believe that. But then they also say how crazy MAGA is for believing that the election was rigged and stolen. I just want to point out, you sound like them. You sound just like them, just on a different side of the spectrum. So let's, maybe you don't care. Maybe you say, hey, look, Trump is somebody that is willing to do anything it takes to win, and I wouldn't put it past him. But I'm just saying, somebody was killed that day. Secret Service is involved, high levels of government involved. So, just kind of sound like MAGA holding on to that. And also, man, I think the left could be in the same position that, like, Al Gore really could have, in 2000, he could have pulled a Trump. I think people were ready to, like, people were mad when Al Gore conceded as quickly as he did. Like, he originally conceded, then he took it back. And then after a few days, he was like, all right, we got to accept the results so we can bring the country back together. But if Gore had said, nah, man, Florida cheated, Bush's brothers down there, I got hoes, they miscounted me, I can see a scenario where the left would have been just as crazy as the right is with this whole election thing. So just be careful. I usually hate both sides. I usually think that title, that argument is lazy. But in this instance, I think it has some credibility because I'm seeing the left sounding a lot like the right when it comes to these assassination attempts. And I really do think the left could have been like the right was back in 2000, but Al Gore chose not to.
I agree with you 100%, especially with the left being in denial. I was in Florida in 2000. I was asking for the recount. I was marching peacefully to the Capitol.
Yeah.
We marched to the Capitol and we did a sit-in at the Capitol. It was peaceful. And I think I don't want us to confuse, because I think there's a difference in people being upset. And I think we talked about it. The fact that we've called it's MAGA. It's not even the Republican Party. We are talking about a fan base, not some people who feel like the election had holes or was tampered with. We're talking about fans who, this is a very different world. I don't think, and maybe I'm biased, but I don't think the left is as ramped up as these MAGA supporters. It's like the extent that they'll go and versus the extent that these MAGA lovers, because you got, like, a lot of these people are extremist groups, right? You got Proud Boys. It's not just a regular group of college students that felt disenfranchised or were upset with the results. We're talking about right-wing groups who are extremists that are on.
Yeah, MAGA, they are passionate about a lot of different things. I just mean on this one particular thing as far as the election. Like, and even as crazy as they've been over the election, imagine if Beau Biden was still alive and he was the governor of Connecticut, or no, Delaware, and Delaware is only worth 3 electoral points. We'll say it was worth 20-some electoral points, and Trump won it at first. The media called it for him at first, and then it's like, no, Biden won. You think they're crazy now. You know what I mean? So
So I get it. Do you think the left, do you think it ever could have got to the point where the left stormed the freaking Capitol?
Never know. I didn't think any side would ever do that.
They would have had a sit-in. They would have came up there and marched, and they would have said it. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference there.
It's a level of commitment and buy-in.
It's also their leader. Their leader is very verbally combative.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't think Al Gore is like that. But if they had a verbally combative, because Trump is not combative himself. Personally, he's pretty passive. But he likes for other people to do it for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
agreed.
So I think if they had a combative candidate, possibly.
Do you? I haven't seen anybody get behind a Democratic candidate with that much fervor. That's what I mean. Like it's a certain, like, these guys worship this man.
That, and I don't think the type of person that follows Trump, right? The you talk about the gun toting, America loving, like, you know, they have always been kind of that. They're the ones that were like, hey, you can't sit here. Hey, get out my you know, get out of the restaurant. You can't eat here type. Like, those were the people that have become Trump supporters, right? They were always this person or this group that would go and, I don't know, burn down a Rosewood or something. You know what I mean? Like, those are the people. Yeah. It's a very different. I don't think there's any group on the left like that, right? That's this kind of militia type, gun toting. Like, there are people on the left that like guns, right? There are people that shoot guns. There are people that will defend our nation and everything, but those are the ones that won't go outside of the law most times, right? Like, so I think
there's just 2 assassination tips. So let's not act like, but as a group,
right.
There's crazy people on both sides, you know. But I don't see group. I don't see getting riled up. Now, this might be the big, if it ever was going to happen, it was going to happen now, because I think the stakes are high.
I think if we felt like they had stole it from Obama,
we would have been mad.
Depending on his rhetoric afterwards, that's a possibility. But it's hard to predict that kind of stuff because it's not normal behavior. It's hard to predict behavior that you don't expect of a large group of people. And so right now, their side is the one that's done it. All we can do is just kind of hypothesize that we could. And we don't see it. I'm just saying that you never know. But that's all I got, man. I just want to tell the listeners, follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Well, it's called X, but we still call it Twitter, and YouTube. Three Brothers No Sense.
There you go. Because you might end up seeing videos of this North Carolina GOP nominee that is running for a governor and going to porn sites and saying that he is a black Nazi and he supports slavery and all of this. So if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, Mark Robinson, he is the assistant governor right now. Lieutenant governor. Yeah, so he's the lieutenant governor right now. He's running for government. He's the Republican nominee. Trump has endorsed him. Trump said that he is what did he say? The new he is as big as Martin Luther King.
So he's better
than Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And obviously because he's a black Nazi. So why wouldn't he be better than Martin Luther King? I get why Trump is saying that now. But yeah, that's what they're dealing with, and the Democrats are eating it up, and I'm loving it because we like to call certain people Uncle Ruckus, but it sounds like this one right here is 100% of Uncle Ruckus. So check him out or not. But if you're in North Carolina, go vote. That's what I will tell you.
Don't trust them, dude.
Couple big things. Shogun. I don't know if you guys remember that show. I talked about that on FX. It was an awesome show. And it actually took the most Emmys ever for a single season of a show. So they got 18 Emmys. That's huge. I mean, for a single show. First Asian American to win Emmy for Best Leading Actor. First Asian woman to win Best Supporting Actress. Like all that, and it's well worth it. So if you haven't gone and seen it, I would tell you to go watch the show. It is that good. That's why it got those 18 Emmys. Now, flipping back on things that are not good, and I will just say that the Queen is not infallible because Sir Davis is trash. Just want to let you guys know that. So to the Beehive, I hope we don't lose our Beehive listeners and followers out there, but I just want you guys to know that Beyonce is not infallible. Everything that she touches doesn't always turn to gold. And Sir Davis is one of those things. I described it as hot dirt because that's kind of what it tastes like to me. It just, you taste it, you get a little hint of earthiness that the whiskey is supposed to give you. You don't get that papa flavor. You don't get
dirt.
what it feels like, man. So you don't get that heat that you would normally get. You don't get that warmth that goes, down your throat that you get. Like it's just, there's nothing endearing about it at all. So that's my impression. Feel free to go get you some. Anybody who wants to taste it, you can swing by the house and taste it, because I'm never going to have another bottle or a glass of it. So I got a whole bottle that I will share with whoever. So you guys can swing by if you like and get some. And then finally, we reported on James Earl Jones passing away last week. Just to follow that up, something really, really cool for the Star Wars lovers out there. He signed his voice over to Star Wars for the voice of Darth Vader. So he did a whole bunch of lines and all of that stuff, so they can use AI to create any line they want with Darth Vader, and it would always be his voice. So no matter when in the future, we will always have James Earl Jones' voice will be the voice of Darth Vader, which is really, really dope. So that's how you do it, guys. That's how you use AI to continue a legacy, that type of thing. His family will continue to get royalties for the use of his voice. So it's just like him being alive. So his descendants, he created a legacy with his voice just by that. So that's just a really, really dope way to continue a legacy, use AI to continue to produce and continue to make art, even, in the future, in perpetuity. So just really, really dope. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's all I got, man.
I would say most of what Beyonce touches don't turn to gold, other than music.
Yeah. So what was it? Clothing line. She had a travel or something like that at one point. Like
she had a deal with Adidas. What was it? Ivy Park.
Ivy Park. Yep. Yeah. Now Ivy Park did really well for a little bit, but
is it still around?
No, but okay. it was a flash in the pan. I mean,
okay.
Anyway, yeah, Juicy Couture and all those other ones, right? Like, what is it for trends versus fashion? Like, you're big on that. It was a trend, and that's kind of how it works. So, but what you got, Ferg?
Well, y'all took a lot of my stuff, so I've been ripping and running today, but just kind of want to hit on the Lebanon attacks with the pagers and the walkie-talkies. That's just crazy. Where they've had hundreds of pagers and walkie-talkies explode in Lebanon, and it looked like with civilians, right? And it looks like, am I getting that correct? They're finding that Israel's behind the attacks?
I believe so. I haven't paid the story much attention, so forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I believe so.
So it says CNN learned that Israel's behind the attack, which was a joint operation between Israel's intelligence service, the Mossad, and the Israeli military. The Lebanese government condemned the attack as criminal Israeli aggression. So
Israel's doing a lot, man. Like they've shifted away from Hamas and Gaza up to the north, because they have to, because that's where Iran is putting a lot of their money. So now they're fighting wars on 3 fronts at this point. Basically their entire border is, most of their border is under attack right now. They brought a little bit of it on themselves, but at the same time, we can't ignore what Hamas did. We can't ignore that was an act of aggression. And now you got Iran coming in from Lebanon and Turkey. So it's a lot going on over there, man. So all the people that talk about, let's stop sending weapons to Israel and stuff like that, you don't know what you're talking about. We can't just not send weapons over there, because if we do, what's going to happen? Iran basically is going to be able to take Israel, and then they'll hold the entire, that area, the Middle East. So when we say international politics is way more than just a single incident, and we are not going to give Israel weapons because we don't like what they're doing in Gaza, but we have to think about what that's going to do for everything else, destabilizing or stabilizing our foot in that area, that type of thing. So it's much, much bigger than that. So we have to keep supporting them. We have to keep sending weapons over there. And we have to keep telling them, you gotta temper what you're doing. You gotta make sure that you're taking care of the civilians and stuff like that. Condemning the things that they do, like in Lebanon, where you're gonna, walkie-talkies are blowing up and you're blowing up civilians and that type of thing. So it's a difficult place to be in for the administration. But we still got to hold everybody accountable.
I don't know if I would say people don't know what they're talking about when they say we shouldn't send them weapons. Israel is, they just killed an American. Like, they have been extremely reckless on some parts. And I think you can both say, hey, we can't ignore what happened last October 7th, but also say, maybe you're going a little bit too far.
Oh, I definitely agree there. Yeah.
It's definitely a complicated situation.
Mm-hmm.
Israel is one of U.S.'s closest allies, if not the closest, I would say. And so that's like, it's hard to check your best friend, especially when they have nuclear weapons and there's money involved. But that's where we're at. And you don't want to tell Razi that he's tripping. But at a certain point, you got to say, hey, dog, you're tripping. Because it's a lot going on over there. We're talking humanitarian, like it's they do have the right to defend themselves. You can't excuse October 7th, but at a certain point, especially, and I hate being big brother and trying to walk with a big stick, but America has to figure out what they want to look like, because we don't look strong. Knowing, because it's obvious some of the things that Israel is doing aren't up to snuff, and we're allowing it. And if I can't tell Razi no, why would Buff listen to me?
Yep.
I don't know. But
which is why Russia's not listening, and why Iran's doing what they want. It's a lot.
And I think it's just because it's that moral high ground now. Like, well, how can you say something to me if you ain't saying nothing to Israel?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that happens a lot when it comes to the way our countries run, even when it comes to race. And, we want to be this. Our standards are high outside of the U.S. We want to call everybody's atrocities and all this stuff a problem. It reminds me of the civil rights, when the other country is looking at us like, you're supposed to be a world leader and you're doing what the hell you want to do. So, but you know what? I'm excited for the second half of this show. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah. One thing I will say is that I was a little disappointed on when he brought up the black question, and they were like, she turned black, and she just was like, I'm not even going to answer that or respond to that. One demographic that she's trailing behind very badly in is black males. And that's one of the things they say, is that she's like not coming out and saying that I'm black. I think she's more scared to lose the white vote than to just say and confirm her blackness. I think that was a prime example for her to talk about her sorority parties that she go to and mm-hmm. being a Howard graduate and everything like that, and promoting and leaning into her blackness and saying, yes, I'm black. So I think that was an opportunity for her that was missed, because I don't think there's many white people that don't see her as a black candidate.
Yeah, but I'll also say she's also Indian. She's raised by an Indian mother. So for her to say I'm black, her Indian family's like, well, what you talking about?
And she's
also Indian, right?
So she has said she's black.
Yeah, she has. But I'm saying that black male demographic, those hoteps are out there that are kind of saying she doesn't.
There's nothing she can say to them.
There's nothing she can say. Yeah, there's nothing
she can say. Razi, are you black? What are you?
I'm black and Italian. I'm a black Italian.
I think what Razi is saying. I think what Razi is saying is, you're right, the hoteps are not going to vote for her, but the hoteps are trying to convince. You got like Michaela Montgomery, people like that are working on behalf of the Trump campaign, going around spreading it to other black people. And so the hoteps may never vote for her, but the hoteps are influencing others. And I think Razi is saying she can kind of stifle some of that by saying, yes, I am black. I mean,
and Indian, right? Like the same way, anytime anybody asks me if I'm black, I never say I'm black. I say I'm black and Italian. I put both those out there. And so I think that should have been her canned answer, is I'm a black American, I'm an Indian American, I'm an American, and blah, 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 blah. Like, she could have had a canned answer that could have been prepped, that would have played well, but for her to confirm her blackness at the same time.
You act like black people wouldn't have got offended by that. You know, black.
I don't think so.
I feel like
I don't think so.
I think there's black people like,
yeah, I do. I think you can't win for losing.
Yeah, I think it's like the people. Everybody knows I'm black. Like I don't even have to. Why are we even talking about this? It's not. Why am I defending my blackness versus? I don't need to defend my blackness. The question's about him talking about my blackness. It's like that's not for me to defend. Like I am who I am. This nigga is the one that's sitting there like, well, now she's black. I thought she was Indian. And like, that's the question. The question is like, hey, Kamala, are you black or are you Indian or what are you? Do you think you're black? The question is, this idiot is talking about my race and it has nothing to do with him. You know,
he's injecting race for a reason. He's injecting race to be divisive.
Yes,
he's coming up this to be divisive. So she's trying to maneuver her way away from the divisiveness. And you know, and like I said, you can't win. You got to make a decision. You can't win for losing. This isn't the worst thing she could have did. You know, I kind of going back to what Buck was saying about her, people not knowing what she's about. I think that is a function of how she ran in 2020. She ran like she has had the most turnover on staff. I think she had 45 staff members. I think 41 have turned over. Because when she came, this is a former prosecutor of San Francisco, elected AG of California, elected senator. You know, she's a prosecutor. And she came out in 2020 talking about abolish the police and all this type of stuff that I don't think had anything to do with her core beliefs. I think she was trying to ride the progressive wave that is and for the time being is a false wave, right? The country is not that far left. The country is, you know, I still want to say it's center right. The country is not that far left, right? And so we're talking about abolishing the police, abolishing prisons. People talking about what the hell are you talking about, right? Nobody over here is talking about that, right? And so you know, when they did polls about abolish the police, never anywhere they did a poll where black people was favoring this, right? Never when they did a poll, black people favoring this. So it's just like she jumped out on somebody tricked her or talked her into jumping out on that progressive ledge, and she fell right off.
Yeah, right? Because she even has videos. Yeah, she even has videos where she's like, black people don't want to abolish the police. We want safe homes, yada, yada, yada. But we don't want to be profiled and racially profiled while we're doing it. We want an equal shake in the justice system, yada, yada, yada. Like she has videos of that when she was running for AG and when she was in AG. Like, and that's how those pervasive, like, you know, lies about her locking up all the black people in California and all that stuff came out when, you know, we know that's untrue. Like she did a lot to actually reform criminal justice in California.
And I say like we used to have about, you know, like 2.4 million people locked up. Now it's like it's like a million. It's a little bit over a million. But the majority of the reduction has come from California. California has literally led the way in decarceration. They are the leader in decarceration. They have. When they legalized weed, they just not legalized weed. They expunged everybody's record they had a weed charge. If you was in jail for weed, they got you out of jail. They have a diversion program. They have a program whereas if you get a certain sentence that's like, I don't know, like a year or something, they put you on probation in the county. They don't send you to jail no more. And if you handle that probation in a certain amount of time, they'll take you off and drop the charges and put you back out, right? So if you have no infractions in like 6 months or something, they'll put you back on. They'll let you go, take you out probation or whatever. So they had this massive reform of their criminal justice system, which is leading the way in the United States. The other states are doing a lot better. The other states are doing worse, like Louisiana, the state I'm in now. But California is actually a leader in incarceration, right, and getting people out of jail. So I mean, there's a lot of things they could say. You know, she could say this happened under my watch, this happened under my watch, whatever. But again, I don't think that minutia is going to get down to where you know, the people are not going to be undecided or whatever. I think there are brown people who have, you know, like the Hoteps and people who have maybe like something personal happened to them where they can't kind of get on with the inflation.
The red pill mafia.
Or it's like, you know, they keep talking about independent voters. And I just think that if you're white and you're a so-called undecided voter, I feel like you're waiting for a Hillary Clinton moment to give you an excuse to vote for Trump, right? Because there's nothing about, if you following it so close that you're undecided, you know this man is talking crazy shit. You know he's saying people eating dogs and cats is lying. You know he lying about the election. You know he said he wanted to be a dictator. You know he said he wanted to lock up his opponents. If you're following that close to be independent, you know he said this.
Nothing about policy.
And so, yeah. And so why would you still be undecided? It's because you're waiting. In my belief, they're waiting for a shoe to drop like in the Hillary Clinton so they can say, oh, see, that's why I got to vote for Trump. They want an excuse to be racist. They want an excuse to be a sexist. They want an excuse to be xenophobic, and they're just waiting on the excuse.
So Brandon, you mentioned he doesn't have a policy. Some would say that he has a 900+ page policy called Project 2025. And I know that's one of the main reasons we wanted to have you on. Ferg talked about how dangerous another presidency of his could be. I know a lot of people have heard about Project 2025. VP Harris mentioned it at the debate, but it still may be people that don't quite know what makes Project 2025 so dangerous, other than the Democrats telling us it's dangerous. What's in it that's actually dangerous?
Well, first of all, where it comes from. So the Heritage Foundation used to be a credible conservative think tank. They push conservative ideas, unashamed conservative ideas, unabashed conservative ideas. Since Trump, they have fallen off the deep end. Right? They have gone full MAGA. This major institution has gone full MAGA. And they have the policy with the policy knowledge, the policy wonks to know how to accomplish the things that are in that Project 2025. The thing with the first Trump administration, as you can remember, one of the key hallmarks of the first Trump administration was turnover. He had how many chief of staffs, how many secretaries of this, secretaries of that. That's because people didn't want to work with him, or he had dumb people and inept people in all these places. And what Project 2025 is a playbook, and they're going to not only put that playbook in action, they're going to put the people in places that can actually get these things accomplished, who are willing to get these things accomplished. Because, in the first Trump administration, you had a lot of people in the bureaucracy, what we call the fourth state, the fourth branch of government, that were unwilling to do the things Trump wanted them to do, right? Unwilling to do these things. Like when Trump wanted to use the military to clear the square in front of the White House, when Trump wanted to, do all kind of crazy stuff. There were people in the bureaucracy in these alphabet agencies who were like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not going to do that. Or just slow roll it. It works like smart. You just slow roll it. It's okay. Well, I'll just put that over there. And, when the thing passes, it passes, right? And so you slow roll it. So there were people who were able to put the brakes on this stuff. They're talking about, which is like one of the things that I think stands out a lot, is about changing how we hire government officials and making a large part of them political appointees, like average, everyday government workers in the federal government and political appointees, so not where they're hired, where you take a test and you get hired and all that stuff, where they're political appointees, which are usually reserved for the director, assistant director, and stuff like that, to make those a political appointees. So putting people in place in the federal government that are more than willing and have been vetted. They're vetting people right now who will say, I will do whatever this man tells me to do. I'll do whatever I got to do. And they're going to put these people in place to ensure that they can get everything accomplished in that Project 2025. And so it is a real threat. It is a credible threat. And I think that is one of the most threatening things about without the 2025, I will be concerned, but I will be nowhere near as concerned as I am now with that Project 2025, because they have the policy know-how and in place to actually get all these draconian things accomplished, like a federal pregnancy monitor. Like, how would that even work? Right? Are you gonna be like, everyone has to give me proof of period every month or something like that? How would you turn that in? Right? You think about the deportations. How would you handle mass deportation? You would have to go door to door. You door to door, or have checkpoints pulling people over out their cars. That's the only way you can have a mass deportation. You're talking about separate, and it sounds like people.
It sounds a lot like Germany, right?
Like Germany, yeah, but these people are immigrants. Maybe they're here illegal, blah blah blah. Yeah, but what about the Hispanic people who are citizens who have an accent, right? So if you're Hispanic in let's say one of the Southwest areas, and you grew up in a Hispanic area, you might have a Spanish accent. You might, Spanish might be your primary language because you grew up in, because New Mexico, the state language is Mexican, Hispanic. I said Mexican. It's Hispanic. Is Latino. I can't even say it.
Spanish. That's the word you're looking for.
Yes. Spanish and going through all the.
Right. Getting canceled every moment.
You might talk with what we consider the accent to someone who was from Wisconsin or whatever, Spanish accent. And how do you prove you're a citizen? You got a driver's license? That'll prove you're a citizen. Mm-hmm. There are many stories about Hispanic people being caught in a car with someone who was here illegally or undocumented, and both of them going to the detention center, going to get deported. Because how do you prove you're a citizen? How right now, if I ask you to prove you're a citizen in your car on your ride to work, how do you do that?
It's cute that you only you've been talking about the Latino population. All of a sudden, Haitians are coming up. You know who they look like? Mm-hmm. Now, any of the brothers on the panel can be stopped and frisked because how do I know he's not Haitian?
Freedom papers.
They're bringing back.
Yeah. So the Haitian thing is so it goes. Haitians have this connect. They have this like connection to, this people want to link them to like, voodoo and all this type of stuff. So they're easy to say, oh, they eat dolls or sacrificing dolls or something like that. But yeah, like you said, that pool of people they deport can always get bigger.
So
it can always get bigger.
You brought up deportation, the pregnancy monitoring. What are the most concerning things outside of those from Project 2025 that it's almost like, yeah, you wouldn't believe this you wouldn't even believe this if I told you?
I would say impoundment. Impoundment is definitely...
Elaborate.
Impoundment. So Congress appropriates money for the president to spend. So look at with Ukraine when he was impeached the first time. We gave money so that Ukraine could buy weapons to defend themselves, and you got him on the phone pretty much, suggesting, hey, if you don't give me some dirt on Biden, I don't know if I'm gonna send this money. So it would give him the power to not have to spend the money the way Congress tells him to do it. And that is, man, that's dangerous, bro. Yeah,
it's pulling the power of the purse from Congress, right? It totally restructures the Constitution.
Because I got to get this out too, because one of the lies that the hoteps are saying is how Trump did all this stuff for HBCUs and the Harris and Biden administration hadn't done anything. When that lie is so big, it's literally the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the Biden Harris administration is giving the most money. Mm-hmm. Trump submitted 3 different budgets that zeroed out funding for HBCUs. I know we're talking about 2025, but I had to slide that in there, man. But that's like an example of how he can start spending the money how he wants to, not how Congress tells him to. So
speaking of lies, that's another thing I saw a lot, and I don't want to take us away from Project 2025, but lies was a big thing because one of the backlashes was as ABC was, pandering or helping Kamala,
Trump,
and they were only fact checking him. And I've seen different versions of the fact checks. I actually had somebody send me something. One of my former coworkers said he has he's with a group that he knows somebody in a group that kind of follows all the stuff, and it's like a mix of both parties. And they said, I think Kamala, they caught 7 lies or mistruths or half truths or things like that. And I think with Trump, there was initially 62, but they backed down to 60. 60, and it's
that's this new thing. This is like equivocating, right? There is no you cannot equivocate between Trump's straight up bold-faced made up lies and politicians dancing around the edges, right? So politicians are always going to be like Obama. If you like your doctor, you keep your doctor. There was no way he can ensure that. That was just a hopeful statement, right?
And so that might be one of the ones that they would fact check and say, like, there's nothing that says that
But the thing was, they only fact checked a couple times. I think it was like 3 times that they fact checked it, and they were when they were so outlandish
egregious.
That they were
egregious. Like I can't sit here. I can't even sit here and let you.
Right.
Like how do I look?
I had a coworker say, "You got to admit it was 3 against 1." I said, "Well, when one is talking about people eating cats and dogs." You can't let that just hang out there.
Let's go back to abortion. Like the abortion things, like they can't. They just can't kill babies after they're born. That's I think they call it an execution. Like that's an execution.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
You got 30-day return policy.
That's not legal in any state.
No.
You can't just like. Well, I mean, y'all understand what he means. We're just gonna let that slide. Like, no, I can't just let you say that people are letting babies be born and just killing them. Like that's not.
Yeah, I would dare say on planet Earth.
Yeah,
I would dare say on planet Earth, in no country is it legal to just murder a goddamn baby, right? After it's born and swaddled, right? You know, I just can't. It's like, what are you talking about?
Brandon was talking about Schedule F when he was saying they would have more power to fire federal employees and put more loyal people in. But I would say the other dangerous thing in it, Ferg, is him having control over what the Department of Justice does.
Oh, yes.
Because right now the Department of Justice is a separate entity from the executive branch. But now he could use it would be his literal political police wing, and he can use them to go after whoever he wants to. That's why he keeps saying, I'm going to go after my enemies. I'm going to go after, everybody who went after me and stuff. So that
and those are the things I'm like, how do you not see how dangerous that is? Like how
fascism creeps up on you.
We're so close to all these post-apocalyptic freaking Fahrenheit 21, Fahrenheit for 451 or like
451,
it's like it's like what are we? How do you not see this? And how do you tell yourself? I don't know. It's just
so maybe she doesn't need to do it, but her surrogates need to not just mention 2025, but explain why. Because, some people may be thinking, it wasn't that bad under Trump. You know what I mean? Like, he was president. He said some crazy stuff, but at the end of the day, everything worked out. You need to drive home the fact that he learned from that first term. Like, he went to Betsy DeVos and tried to nationalize an education system to where they got rid of the 1619 project and really implement. I think he wanted to put in some type of white nationalist type of curriculum.
1776.
1776 and things like that. So he had people that were like, you can't do that. He doesn't want that anymore. And they need to drive that home that, hey, he learned from that. That's why he's been putting in Secretary of States in different, like Georgia, in different battleground states, so that when push comes to shove, when he wants something done, it'll get done this time, unlike last time.
Is it too late?
So, no, because you can not vote for him.
The election is still coming.
But the thing about it, Georgia has a problem. Georgia has a problem.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Like the people already in place.
Georgia's problem. Georgia could have had this locked up.
They dropped 2 more charges from him too,
Yeah, they just keep.
But talk about the education stuff. I mean, this is like fascist playbook 101. First, you denigrate the media, right? You denigrate your public enemies, try to jail them and charge them with crimes, all this type of stuff. And the third thing you do is you mess with the education system, because you can't have people knowing about anything else. And so this is this big thing about education. So first it was you defund education, and then you talk about how crappy it is. The second thing now is with the critical race theory, you say, well, you discredit the curriculum in the school. So everybody's doing this critical race theory. It's all over the place. No evidence of this whatsoever. People passing laws, no critical race theory, whatever. The whole point is to discredit public education so much so that when they get when he gets elected and Project 2025 comes in, they can just get rid of public education. And so it'll go back to like pre-Civil War, where you got to pay for your own education, right? And if you can read, you can read, right? And it'll be a sense that, the only school we will pay for are religious schools that teach, the Bible and the people was alive with dinosaurs and all this type of stuff, right? And so you have this dumbing down the population, so they don't know anything else, or they can't tell when things were better or when they weren't better, right? It's like a 1984 type of thing. Like you keep changing what's in the books, you keep changing what's in the newspapers to keep people from knowing what's going on. And this is like a consistent playbook for strongmen and fascists across the globe. And so the Heritage Foundation essentially turned into a fascist think tank. They have put how to turn the United States into a totalitarian, autocratic, or whatever, or fascist regime. This is how you do it with this playbook.
So you brought up some points, and as horrible and just how crazy that sounds, are there more people that support that and or okay with that than we want to think?
I don't think so.
Did Trump uncover the hidden secrets of America? Did he uncover that there's more people? Because a lot of things we're saying about Project 2025, does that sound bad for everybody? Does that sound bad for somebody who is truly conservative, wants to protect, white Judeo-Christian values, that wants their kids to believe certain things, that don't want their white kids to feel, ashamed because of the past and all these things? The reason we're outlawing a lot of these educational things is because it's making our kids feel bad, And so if I could protect my little white son and daughter from this woke movement, this bad feeling that they should feel bad for being white, and that being gay is okay, and transgender, like all these things that I don't believe in. And even if you don't believe in it, worst case scenario, like maybe you're for gay rights, but gays can't do certain things. Does that really affect you? Yeah.
It does, but it doesn't. Like the thing about it is it does affect them, but it also, we become Russia. You know what I mean? It's that's what it is, right? Nope, you can't be gay. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't talk bad about the government. You got to be pro-America all the time. Like it's literally, like Brandon said, you become a fascist state. And I think those people are okay with that. These are the same
people that were pissed off for kneeling for the flag. I think they think they're more patriotic than they are. They're more conservative than they are.
Yeah, that's the thing. Patriotism and nationalism, right, is a way that's generally they're together. There's a very thin line between them, and I think what's happened is they've moved from patriotism into nationalism. And that nationalism kind of starts aligning with that fascism state very, very easily.
So,
if some people who needed an excuse to be racist, that was just an excuse. I mean, when Kaepernick came out and said, this veteran told me to do this, that should have been the end of the story, that it wasn't patriotic, right? That he went to a veteran, and the veteran said, how can I protest? The veteran said, do this. I think this is an appropriate way that won't disrespect the flag. I am a veteran, a combat veteran. That should have ended the story, but it wasn't, right? Because there is one news channel that is very willing to push false information and to push fear and to push division for ratings and money. And because the world is set up now, you can literally put yourself in a bubble, a media bubble, and you can hear all this confirming information about how there's so many trans. I mean, how many trans people do you think there are? There are not that many trans people in the world, much less trying to play on your daughter's middle school soccer team, right? It's just not that many, right? Mm-hmm. And all the teachers are gay and the gay brunch. You don't have to take your kids to gay brunch. You don't have to take your kids to gay story hour. There's no mandatory gay story. I mean, this stuff is being pushed to make people afraid, to make people think that someone is taking something from them. And white supremacy has always been given or has been structured around the belief that it has to be reclaimed or reasserted with no thought given to the fact that white people still run the U.S. Mm-hmm. Right? White people still in charge. Think of how many white people in Congress. I mean, white people are still on top. White people are still on top. Right? It's just it's like but the narrative is you got to take it back. You got to take it back. You got to take it back. And it's just fear mongering. It's absolute fear mongering. And some of these individuals are just racist. Some of them are caught in these bubbles where they cannot. Everything they see is confirming. That's like when you see that when Trump lost the election to Biden, there were people saying, on TV or whatever, I don't know anybody that didn't vote for Donald Trump. That's because you're only in Facebook groups and whatever people who voted for Donald Trump. He lost by more votes this time than last time. Right? 80 million people voted for him. So you know somebody. You're just not in these groups, just pushing back and forth this misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think the good for the people who don't care outweigh the bad, right? It's, yeah, maybe I lose certain rights, but it does protect the way of life, this white supremacy, this make America great ideal, that I'm okay with, right? Like, how much do you really lose? Even like with abortion rights, there's people who were anti-abortion that when push comes to shove, they find a way to get an abortion when they need it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I guarantee there's people who voted for Trump or were happy that when they reversed Roe v. Wade, that have still gotten abortion, or had somebody in their family get an abortion. So it's very dangerous. And that's why, going back to the whole debate in Kamala, it's like, you got to play a different game because there's a different, I didn't want George. I remember being in Tallahassee when the whole George Bush with Al Gore thing was a Bush Gore went down. I'm in Tallahassee. I'm in freaking the state capitol where everything went to hell. I was one of those people who got screwed with the vote. Literally, it's just a long story, but got screwed with the vote. And being there with Jeb, I remember dealing with all this. I just didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
I was fearful that the country was about to come to an end.
Yeah.
That my freedoms would be revoked.
Mm-hmm.
That my future kids' lives would be decimated. This different.
Yes.
The stakes are higher, so it's kind of like everybody else who tried to play the game the way that we've always played the game, and I think Hillary's a good example of it, doesn't do well against him. Hell, even, the Obamas, when they were at the National Convention, they had a little more oomph in them.
Yeah.
They weren't as politically correct as possible, as usual. Michelle was about that life, right? My Michelle, not
not Shay Shay's
Shannon,
Michelle.
Shay Shay's Michelle. Not, I think the gloves are off. I think everybody who really wants to pay attention knows there's much more at stake than ever before. And maybe I'm just being pessimistic and being a worrywart or whatever, but I just am Buff and Brandon. Maybe you guys can hopefully tell me, am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't think so.
Please tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't think so. I think people do know there's a lot at stake. I don't think people have to grasp the totality of what's at stake. I think when you say, "Oh, we're going to lose the democracy," that doesn't really hit. But when you say, you're going to these specific things that are going to affect you, I think that has a better effect on the policy. But yeah, I do think people can I do think people can sense that this is a major inflection point. In the American past, it's a major
as we
inflection
think
point.
it could be.
And I hope
can it get that bad?
Yeah. For a second.
Can it get that bad? Am I overreacting? Tell me I'm overreacting.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't
I said,
so.
Tell me I'm overreacting.
He just wants you to. He just wants you to say it.
I think it's dead serious. I think we're having a good time talking about it, but I think it's dead serious. I think it's real serious.
It's kind of hard to convince the electorate that, because we're told this every presidential election. Every presidential election, I've been paying attention to them since Bush v. Gore. Every one of them, it's always the most important election of our lifetime. It's dire. You don't vote for this candidate, this, that, and the other. So it's hard to sell it to a certain population. And then you also got to deal with, there are certain things that people think are under threat that aren't necessarily under threat. Like, that's why he keeps talking about Haitian immigrations and things like that. He's fear-mongering things that isn't really something that should be feared. On the other hand, though, as we talked about Project 2025, it's some dangerous stuff in there. It's some dangerous stuff in there no matter who. But like, if this became the norm for presidents, then there's really no more need for, and that's part of their goal, to like really bypass Congress. They don't like Congress. So it's just a Supreme Court, and he stacked it for himself in that regard as well.
For the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So it's hard to say, but it's an important election. And you know what? 2016 was an important election. Unfortunately, people were worried about her emails and worried about her calling people super predators 20 years ago. And what happened was, we have a 6-3 conservative court now, when it could have actually been damn near the other way around. And so now when I see all these people marching because Roe v. Wade got repealed, my first question is, who did you vote for? Because if you voted Green Party, if you voted Gary Johnson, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And you can say, I have a right. You do have a right. But you got to shut the fuck up when she loses swing states by 10,000 votes, 20,000 votes, and these third-party candidates got over 100,000 votes, and that helped elect him. And now you get Roe v. Wade repealed. You gotta shut it. You gotta take it.
So where does Kennedy's dropping out? I think we brought this up, but Brandon, how do you think that affects everything?
I don't think it's gonna matter. I think that he was unable to get off the ballot in a lot of states. So most people what we call rationally ignorant about politics. They don't have time to understand. So most people who are probably thinking to themselves,
so that means stupid. Kennedy, that's stupid for the people that don't understand what he's trying to say.
It's just rationally ignorant. It's just like, so you go through a lot in the day, right? And you're not thinking about what the legislature's debating a new car insurance bill. You're not reading the bill drafts to keep up with the who's doing what or whatever. You're rationally ignorant. It's not that you're dumb. It's just you don't have time to look into everything, so you choose what you're going to look into. So most people are rationally ignorant about politics, and so a lot of these people are going to go right on the election day and vote for Kennedy, and he done dropped out 2 months ago. They have no fucking idea. They have no idea. Those are great. We want those people because they may have voted for Trump or something like that. We want those people to do that. And so I don't think it's...
Nikki Haley was still getting votes after she dropped out.
I think
almost 20% of the votes in some players.
Bernie Sanders got 10% of the vote after he dropped out. That's partly protest and partly rational ignorance. People have no idea what's going on. You ask an average person who their state rep is, they guaranteed don't know. You ask them who their senators are, they probably don't know, right? Some people, if you ask them, you ever look at the Tonight Show or whatever, ask people on the street who the vice president was, who the president was, they had no idea. I mean, people who deal in what you guys are doing are well informed, like higher echelon informed. Most people have no idea what's going on. They don't know how shit works. They don't know what's going on, and so they're easily swayable. This is the problem with misinformation; they're easily swayable. But just back to Kennedy, I don't think it's going to have a big effect. Outside of him not being invited to his family's Thanksgivings no more. I don't think it's going to have too much of an effect. I think her pick of Walz was a great pick. I can't wait for talk about this debate. I can't wait for the vice presidential debate because J.D. Vance is so phony. His name is not even J.D. Vance. He changed his original name. His birth name is not J.D. Vance, whatever the J.D. stands for. It's something else. He changed it to be J.D. so it could sound more Bubba-ish, right?
Oh, wow.
This was even before he wrote the book and all this stuff. There's nothing original or authentic about that person at all. And I can't wait till Walz gives him some of that what for.
You have that much faith in Walz?
Yeah, I think, I think from what I've seen, and then knowing he came from won a Republican rural seat, all the way to governor, he could talk a game. Mm-hmm. He can talk a game, and he can go back and forth. And I think he'll be good with JD Vance, because JD Vance also is another person who never gets pushed back on, because JD Vance says stupid shit intelligently. He says he puts a Harvard spin on bullshit, and I think Walz is going to be able to call him out on that in a very practical, homely, likable way.
Yeah, it's that command sergeant major, right? That CSM is going to come out. He's dealt with also that another funny point. Forever.
The Vance quoting, speaking on behalf of Trump, and Trump like, I ain't say that. Like you have to say that the day, like.
when what's her name? I can't think of this girl name. The singer Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
I don't. She don't make her music for me. I don't listen to it. I'm pretty sure it's great, right? But Taylor Swift endorsed Harris Walz, and then he says, I don't think the American people are going to be interested in what some disconnected billionaire thinks. I'm thinking to myself, everybody was like some billionaire celebrity. Other people are a billionaire celebrity. And the people on like Morning Joe is just like, you mean like Trump? A billionaire celebrity? Like who's disconnected from the people? Like, what are you talking about? This dude just says stuff, and nothing he says is connected to the thing he just said or the thing he said yesterday. And it's just Trump. He says bullshit in a manner that seems like that is highly intelligent, but he's saying he's doing the Trump, but he's just doing it with a better vocabulary, right? And
that's what's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave y'all with this. You guys, you want to finish with that?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave with this because we probably have to split this into two shows, but we talked about several presidencies, several different elections. And I feel like the last couple of elections post-Obama, I think the majority of people have been seriously disappointed with our candidate pool. Is that safe to say? Like, we were like, man, I just feel like I can't get excited about a candidate.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's the same sentiment we have here? Or do you feel like this is the closest thing we've had to a regular I can support a candidate moment that we've had in a while post, sans Trump?
I would say this first. Joe Biden needs his roses right now.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden gave us, as vice president, the first black president. He was the one that gave Obama the legitimacy to be elected the first black president. Joe Biden came out of retirement and knocked Trump off the tuffet, off Miss Muffet's tuffet, right? And then he passed the torch to what is going to be the first brown, I don't care what you want to call it, black and woman president, right? I think that
while being one of the best and most successful presidents in history,
in this climate, passing bipartisan legislation, right? I think Joe Biden needs a statue. He needs some roses, some ice cream, whatever he like. He needs to have that now, and people need to stop. I don't like how people were denigrating him. Yes, he's old. Everybody saw he was old in that debate. He got old. Everybody gets old, man. We knew he was old when he got elected. His ass was old during that debate, and he did the right thing and stepped down. So you have to acknowledge he did the right thing, right? He did the right thing and stepped down. And so, he needs his roses. And to answer your question, I would say that I think people are very excited about Kamala Harris. I don't think the polls are picking up how excited people are about Kamala Harris. She was in North Carolina the day after the debate, did 2 rallies, one with 7,500, one with 17,500 in North Carolina. She's doing numbers. She's talking about rallies. She's doing numbers. You know what I'm saying?
She paid all that money? I think that's a lot of money that she had to pay to get all those people out there.
Yeah. What's the going rate? $50 a person. You know what I'm saying? She's doing numbers all over the place. And the fact that she has, and I was worried about it because I was like, man, because I was worried about her stance in 2020. But when she jumped in the gate, everybody just took off running for her. Mm-hmm. And And she is steady gaining stream, she's out gaining on resources, on funding, $500 million. During that debate, the news was saying that during the debate, during the discussion about reproductive rights, she was getting new women donors at the actual real time of the debate. Like, people are watching, women are watching, and people, I think, are excited about this. I don't think you're going to see like yard signs all over the place. I don't think you're going to see that, right? I don't think you'll see that. I think that's mostly for self-preservation, right? Because if it goes bad, then I can know this, that house, this house, you know what I'm saying? So I think maybe it could be a self-preservation thing that you don't want to see those types of things around. But the money coming in from new donors, the money coming in from small donors, that says it all. I mean, Trump is going broke. And then on top of it all, Trump spent all that money on his legal defenses. He has no ground game in the
swing states,
toss-up states. Mm-hmm. No ground game whatsoever. Biden has a massive ground game in all these states that she inherited. She inherited all of Biden's money, and she brought in another $500 million of her own money, right? And I think that people are excited. I mean, I don't think you can see it like with Obama. I don't think you'll ever see it again like you saw with Obama, right? I think that's the high watermark of political excitement. Even white people was following it.
I would say she got the instant excitement versus Obama. Like, even Obama didn't get that instant excitement like she has. Yeah,
because I don't know if it was just old man stubbornness, or was this a expert political move where it was. I think we put it this way: in the last 2 months, I was at a all-time low with our chances as a Democrat. I'm like, nigga, this is just like, we just haven't had a good candidate in a year. This is just to her coming in and still, because we talked about it before. It was like, I don't know if she can do it, and her name and stuff like that. And when she came in, I think the three of us were surprised on how accepted she was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then how she took off, and because all we had was 2020 to go off of her campaign strategy, and to look at her now is like, this young lady's strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, she's and I know she's strong. Like, I like her. I was talking to one of my homeboys, actually, one of my old coworkers. He's a former conservative, younger white male in Seattle, and he was like, I don't know. I think I'm getting a crush on Kamala. Like, it's just like the more I watch her, the more I'm just like, she's doing it. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that sent me all the stuff about the lies. I'll send it to the group and let you guys look it over. But what say you guys? Is this new? Is this new excitement?
I think that's one last flower to give Biden, like Brandon mentioned. Like, not only did he step down, but he anointed her right after he did. Jump, yeah. And like, not everybody was on board. Like, you had Pelosi saying, maybe we need to do convention, even though they wasn't on board.
Yep.
But once Biden anointed her, and then that excitement got behind her, we made Obama get in line. Yes. We made Pelosi get in line. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, okay, I guess it's Kamala. Okay.
And Trump, he even tried to bring that up at the debate a little bit. It's like, yeah, I don't even know if she's almost like legitimate candidate. Like, that should be investigated. Can they do that? And it's kind of like, yeah, dude, you're beating a dead horse right now. Like, there's you ain't going back on that. Ain't nobody second guessing this decision.
Yeah, DNC make their own rules about the candidate, but I mean, when people forget how much people like Joe Biden. Remember the driving the Corvettes, Uncle Joe. People like Joe Biden. People like Joe Biden a lot. He just got old, right? People was like, is he gonna die before November, November, whatever? Which is, it's hyperbole, but it's like, people like Joe Biden. They just didn't like, that he was walking slow and talking slow. You know what I'm saying? People like Joe Biden, so it's not like people didn't like him. I think people liked and loved Joe Biden and just turned that right towards Kamala, right? Because he's her pick. She endorsed him. So all that love and like that Joe Biden got, he just turned it right towards Kamala.
You're right. I think this would have been a second term. Trump's not on the ballot. Trump made you scared of Biden because you needed a candidate that can go against Trump.
Yes.
I think that was it. Like, he really, outside of his campaign strength, like, there's really not, he made some F-ups. Like, we got to talk about the Afghanistan pullout and all that stuff. But everybody screws up. It's just like you said, everybody loved him. But because he's old and because you needed a strong, younger, vibrant candidate to go against Trump, it made you feel like, man, why we got this old nigga over here trying to fight Trump? As I think about that episode of Boondocks with Grandpa and Stinkmeaner. Like, we needed somebody to train. Like, Trump was about to kill this dude.
Yeah.
But if he didn't have to fight Trump, Biden would. I appreciate it, Brandon. You brought me back to.
Or if he could do it the way he did it in 2020. So you remember in the debates, Biden told him to shut up.
Right.
Shut up, man. If Biden still had that bit of punchiness, people we would not even. It would be another. We wouldn't even have this drama. But because he lost some on that fastball, people got concerned, and
rightfully so. Truthfully,
rightfully so. Yeah, they got concerned, and
because he had to go against Trump.
Well, I think anybody, him going against anybody, say JD had won Vivek could have won, right? Ron DeSantis, somebody like that. Anybody going against Joe, you would have still seen that difference there. And he would have looked even older had it been a DeSantis or somebody that can make like a coherent, argument. And so putting him up against somebody like that would have been even worse.
And that is how Trump looks.
Yeah. Exactly. Because like you think about that, like it wasn't as bad because you had two rambling on the stage at the same time. So you put somebody who's coherent, and like you say, that's exactly what's happening now. Trump looks old compared to Kamala, and I think that's what would have happened. So he still wouldn't have done well just because he's just gotten so old and he's lost that step.
But having somebody other than Trump would have revitalized a lot of Republican voters. A lot of Republican voters who switched over and voted for Biden, if there was a DeSantis or Nikki Haley, would have been like, oh, we're going back, to our side, right? But since they got Trump anyway, they're like, oh man, you gave us this same bullish. So we're not gonna vote for this guy. We're gonna.
But Biden losing against Nikki Haley, would you be as upset?
If Biden lost, Biden was gonna lose Nikki Haley.
Mm-hmm. But would you have been as upset? Would it be as big?
If she would have stayed the course and been critical of Trump throughout, I would have. To me, that would have been a shift back to
an acceptable loss.
George W.
Acceptable
Bush.
Loss.
Not
we
a
win some, we lose some.
Yeah, we win some, we lose some. But because she made that shift back to Trump, it just showed that she had no spine, and that she's, she is going to turn whatever color she needs to turn to get whatever. So it's just like she has no, she has no moral, ground, no backbone, no political backbone or whatever like that. So that shows that she shouldn't have been president. But if she would have stayed the line and beat Biden, I think we still would have been in a better place, much better place than if Trump would have beat Biden. Mm-hmm. I can't say the same thing for DeSantis or that Vivek asshole, but but for her, how she made that hard turn on Trump during the primaries, if she would have kept that line, I would not have been concerned if she had won the presidency over Biden.
Yeah. It would have been kind of like when McCain. Yeah, it would have been a Republican, and that's what, like, for the listeners, we really want y'all to understand is like. Even if we are on the Democratic side, the old traditional republic, like the Republican Party of George H.W.'s, George Bush, those folks, it's like that's a difference of policy, right? Like I even talked about like John McCain. I was on the fence for a little bit, like, I maybe could go with John McCain. I like John McCain. Like, you know,
I really
for a second, split second, Buff. Don't give me the crazy look. Like, like I was like, okay,
John McCain froze, yo.
Buff's face.
But what I'm saying is, like, for a John McCain or something, like those traditional Republicans, it's a policy thing. Like, yeah, it sucks. Like, it's not the best for the people, but I do feel like the old traditional Republicans generally had, like, they had a mentality of how to run the economy, how to run the government, but not necessarily.
They had morals. They had principles.
There were some principles there. Like, even though my whole
even
saying
they played the game
conservatism
enough,
equals racism.
Like, he can't try to make slaves.
They still wanted to conserve the system.
That's too far, Josh.
They wanted to conserve the system, but at the same time,
yeah, but the only reason we still have Obamacare is because McCain went up there and did that thumbs down. Yeah. So you say what you want to say about McCain, but the only reason people still got, a lot of people in this country still got health care is because of John McCain. Right? I'll tell you. That's the only reason he went and voted it down and they didn't bring it back up again. Right?
He was just more performative. Lisa Murkowski voted it down and Susan Collins voted it down as well.
Yeah, but John McCain was...
He was just more performative for his.
But he's always been known as the Maverick. They call him the Maverick. He would vote against his party in the House.
Here it is.
I mean, he could have voted it down if Lisa and Susan votes for it. It passes.
That's true.
They needed all three Republicans to vote against it.
Yeah. Well, we'll give all three of them flowers.
That's why he went last.
Yeah.
Because he could be dramatic about it.
Yeah. No.
And just so y'all know, Byron wasn't a fan of McCain.
No. I like McCain. I like McCain.
You're right.
Okay,
But
his face was like,
But I don't like that. I mean, you had two women that was just heroic as he was in that moment, and they get overshadowed by his theatrics.
Yeah, that's true. But also, his main beef was returning to regular order, right? Which seems like so mundane, but that is like such a old school politician, Republican type of thing. Let's return to regular order. Why are we doing this stuff, in these special whatever? Yeah.
I remember his speech. He was like, we done messed around and made Obamacare popular. He was like, that's not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But that's all, man. I really do just think that, if we could get back to I hate to say the old Republican Party, but if we could get back to that where we're talking differences in policy, differences in, like, I think this is better for the country. You're better for the country. If they, like Brandon said, if they could get that MAGA, like, just purge that MAGA right out.
They gotta cut it.
Yeah. At that point, they need to abort that. Like, they need to just go be pro-choice on that, abort that, and then at that point, maybe we can get back to some normal order where we are kind of comparing policies and maybe, I won't be so critical of them. But right now, it's just because of the policies they have right now, we're super critical of them. So I just want the listeners to know that.
I think that this election, another major loss like this one, I think is moving the Republican Party towards that direction. Because you see, Biden didn't get as many Republican endorsements as Kamala has gotten already. And she already got Dick Cheney. And I'm thinking she got Dick Cheney. There's a big possibility she might get W.
Yeah. Did y'all see Jon Stewart? I love that Jon Stewart, when he announced that, he was like, Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala, and he was like, Dick Cheney.
Listen, you may not like him about a lot of things, right? But he has a line in the saying he is not willing to cross.
Yeah.
Right? And it may have taken him too long to get there, as far as we're concerned, but he's there.
I remember when it was just about abortions, maybe higher taxes. Those are things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Higher taxes. Who's going to take money out of my paycheck? I don't want to know if I'm going to I'm be working for free one day. It was, my kids might have to say the Lord's Prayer at school one day. They might bring prayer. Like, these were conversations that we were having, Now it's like, oh, these people are potentially evil.
Yeah.
But this was a great episode, fellas. Brandon, we got to get you back on maybe right before the election to have another conversation.
Yeah.
What's that?
Okay, I'll say one more thing. So I think another important thing is after Kamala wins, what the Democrats are willing to do to excise the MAGA, right? There has to be some major reforms that are taking place as to how Congress behaves, how the judiciary behaves. And also we have to have some type of tax reform, because in the United States, we're making billionaires more than we're making anything else, right? And so if you see now, like the crypto bros are supporting Trump, right? And that's not because they believe in mass deportations, right? Most of their organizations full of immigrants who are running these algorithms and stuff like that. It's because they want to make money. Mm-hmm. They want to be, and they're willing to sacrifice themselves making billions of dollars for everybody else in the country. And so that, and I don't know what exactly tax policy should be, but there have to be some major reforms afterwards to reel in, not just people. Everybody wants to make a lot of money, right? But to reel in money in politics, there has to be some major reforms. And if Democrats don't have the spine to do that, we're going to be stuck with MAGA for an extended period of time.
Yep. Citizens United, like find something to go against that, so we can have get rid of these super PACs and all this money.
Congress has to get off the.
Yep.
All right, we're back. I hope everybody enjoyed the finale of the show. I know I did. I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm hopeful for the future. So let's go ahead and close it on out, fellas. What you got?
Always grateful when Brandon can come on. So want to thank him again for taking the time to join us, man. Only thing I got is it looks like Jordan Childs at least has a case to get her bronze medal back. She was stripped of it at the Olympics a week after she was awarded it. And now there has been video evidence that may suggest that they did, in fact, inquire within the allotted time with the judges, because they're saying that they missed that time frame, but it looks like they may have. So I'm hoping for her. I'm hoping that she's able to get it back. I know how much it means to those athletes. So hopefully she does. And a point I did make earlier in the show, I kind of got sidetracked when I was doing my critique of VP Harris. And one of the reasons why that was a big deal to me, like her not answering the question and kind of doing that politician speak, is I do believe it's not the only reason, but it is part of the reason why people like Trump. He does not, like, he talks plainly. He talks like everyday people. Case in point, I'm going to be very vague because of where I work, but I remember seeing a politician that was running for a higher office. And I said, I want you to know I'm rooting for you. It's nice to meet you. And, I'm not in your state, obviously, but, I'm hoping you're able to pull it off. And they just responded with this, and I just want you to know that the people of such and such state, they really want this, and I'm going to go in there. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, well, you just talk to me normal. Like, is this how you talk at home? No. Like, just talk to me normal. And I wish that was this is probably the only thing that I wish rubbed off from 45 was that politicians would stop with these rehearsed answers and speeches and just talk to us like we're regular people. Like, we always say how people don't pay attention. One of the reasons people don't pay attention to politics is because it's hard to believe what you're hearing, because everything is so rehearsed, so scripted, so tested on what words will work and all this stuff. And everything is just a sale job. Just be normal. And that is not all on VP Harris. That's just on all politicians in general. I just wish we had more straight talk, more normalcy from them. But that's all I got. Other than that, man, make sure you download the free app Inspire You on Air, the new beat of the bay. Check us out on Contentville via that app. And also check us out on any podcast platform. We're available. New episodes drop every Monday.
Love it. So, talking about just kind of being normal. Vestavia Hills here in our home state, right next to Birmingham, Alabama, has decided that they don't like gays, which isn't surprising in Alabama. But Vestavia Hills School Board or their superintendent, one of their high school principal came out as gay. Didn't even come out. What she did is she shared like her and her spouse or significant other with one of her coworkers. Coworkers snitched her out, and so the school board found out, and they demoted her from the high school principal to the alternative school principal while they decide what they want to do. And the only thing that anybody could think of that she did have to be reassigned was her sexual orientation. And people are saying people shouldn't know your sexual orientation and this, that, and the other. And that's kind of how they're trying to defend the school board or the superintendent. But I say nobody bats an eye when a principal brings their spouse in their, a heterosexual couple, right? If a male principal brings their wife to a football game or something like that, you don't bat an eye. So why should this principal have to hide and not be able to bring their significant other to anything that school has just because you don't want, a gay relationship to be seen? So again, it's Alabama in a nutshell. And just like I said, if you want to see racist comments and how racist we are, just go to the comments under the article and you'll see plenty of it. And it's here all day long, every day. Only other thing, man, I had to talk about is the UFL. So people kind of UFL, they talk about how, it's not as good as the NFL, blah, 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 blah. But I just wanted to run some numbers by you guys. 60% of the players in the UFL appeared in the game or they were called for workouts with the NFL. 78% or 78 players have signed NFL contracts. 30 teams have at least one UFL player on it. And then 41 players are currently on a roster or a practice squad. So while a lot of people kind of shit or whatever, it actually makes sense for kind of an NFL G League to be able to do that. And that's what they're doing. I really think the NFL should probably try to invest in them and make that kind of an ongoing thing so that they can keep it, because they keep losing money and it's probably going to end up folding in a few years. That's why the XFL had to combine with the USFL, that type of thing. But I really think the NFL needs to try to invest some money in there, keep it going so that they can have a good G League, a developmental league outside of college where they can have people who didn't get drafted somewhere for them to go to continue to play, so then they can get better. So then that'll up the quality that we have in the NFL as well. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But I'm liking what the UFL's doing. They're fun. They're not super great games, but at the same time, it's fun to do. It's fun to watch. So that's all I got, man.
All right. Well, I want to start off by saying happy birthday, Sabrina, my beautiful wife. This show will air Monday, and it will be the day after your birthday. Let me, with the first say you have gracefully just gotten better over the years. You're more beautiful now than you were the day I met you, and it's just been a pleasure to see you grow along your journey, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of it. It's been an honor. So wanted to say happy birthday, baby. I know you're not going to listen to this, but just in case, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Z.
So long, Woj. Adrian Wojnarowski, is that? I can never pronounce his name. Retired 2 days ago, or was it yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
We need Woj to let us know, right? Woj was like he was like the TMZ athletics. He was the Ask Jeeves, the Google, whatever, TMZ of athletics, all major sports. Woj was the first to get all the information. And so, Woj bombs, and he was that guy. I don't know. I can't compare. Is there anybody else we can compare him to?
Wendy Williams on a regular.
Super respected journalist. It was, I guess I want to call him a journalist. He was just so in the know that I felt like that's where everybody went to get the news, to get the latest. He confirmed, or was the one person that just got all the news and the breakthroughs. So She just said it was super stressful, and it was not stressful, but took a lot to do what he did, and he's ready to move on to greener pastures. So enjoy. Appreciate all the information that I got from you, all the Woj bombs and things that we got over the years, but it's your time. Outside of that, 3 Brothers No Sense, 6 Rules of Podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.